Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we're going to decode the hidden psychology of the paralyzed perfectionist. You know exactly who I'm talking about, right? The person who literally refuses to start a task until absolutely everything is flawless. So, let me ask you, do you find yourself unable to start a project unless your space is perfectly clean and the timing feels, well, exactly right? I want to speak directly to you here. We've all hit that frustrating invisible wall, the one that stops us from taking that very first step, even when we genuinely want to get the work done. You just sit there staring at your desk, and your brain simply says, nope, not yet. Now, for years, society has completely mislabeled this behavior. We've been fed this myth that this hesitation is just laziness, or a lack of discipline, or maybe just terrible time management. People might have even told you, hey, just stop being lazy. But the reality? The psychology reveals a completely different truth. This refusal to start, it isn't laziness at all. It's actually a massive indicator of a highly intelligent mind that's capable of deeper, much more complex processing. Basically, it's a brilliant cognitive strength that's just disguised as a flaw. So let's unpack this gift of mental clarity. You see, highly intelligent people have this incredibly unique ability. You can perfectly visualize exactly how a project should look before you even pick up a pen. Your brain immediately runs this high-definition simulation of the perfect end result. And because you have this crystal clear vision, you instantly notice flaws. You aren't just seeing a project, you're seeing the absolute peak potential of that project. And this brilliantly illustrates a key point. Perfectionism doesn't come from arrogance, it comes directly from this mental clarity. Because you possess extremely high internal standards, settling for just average results feels incredibly frustrating. Honestly, it's deeply uncomfortable. You can see what's truly possible, so the very thought of producing anything less than that flawless ideal feels like a compromise you simply cannot make. But of course, this brings us to the risk of imperfect action. We need to talk about perfectionistic thinking. This is a psychological state where the very act of starting a task feels inherently risky unless the conditions are exactly right. You don't delay because you don't care. Actually, scratch that. That's a massive misconception. You delay because you care way too much about doing it right. Taking that first step feels like walking a tightrope without a net. And here's where the trap snaps shut on you. It's a cycle. Step 1, you clearly imagine that ideal outcome. But then step 2 kicks in, and you fear imperfect execution. So, moving to step 3, your highly analytical mind subconsciously decides that delaying action is the safest route to avoid that risk. You delay just to feel safe, which inevitably leads right into step 4, experiencing really harsh self-criticism for procrastinating in the first place. Waiting for that elusive perfect moment feels so much safer than risking a flawed outcome, but it just traps you in a brutal cycle of guilt. Now, let's look at another fascinating piece of the puzzle, your brain's energy equation. What's really interesting here is that your brain is constantly running these background calculations. It's weighing the intense cognitive energy a task requires against the meaningful outcome or the potential reward it might provide. Psychology shows us that motivation isn't just about willpower. It's a constant, microscopic cost-benefit analysis happening in your mind all day long. Your brain is literally asking, is this task truly worth the mental bandwidth it's going to cost? Because of this, motivation drops sharply when rewards feel too small, delayed, or disconnected from a meaningful outcome. So you aren't just stubbornly avoiding work to be difficult. Your mind is naturally rejecting inefficient energy use. It's actually a survival mechanism of an intelligent brain, reserving its profound mental bandwidth for things that actually matter and have true meaning to you. This naturally leads to the dark side of this gift, the burden of impossible standards. Gifted minds often push for absolute impossible standards because they're desperate to reach their full potential. You're constantly comparing actual, real-world results to that perfect simulation running in your mind. And when you inevitably fall short of that flawless mental simulation, because, let's face it, reality is rarely flawless, you become your own absolute worst critic. Your high intelligence turns inward, and it manifests as a deep, agonizing fear of failure. So the crucial point here is that ultimately all of this delay, all of this perfectionism is just about protecting yourself. You are actively avoiding disappointment, managing a really deep-seated fear of failure, and shielding yourself against the pain of not meeting your own expectations. You delay starting as a protective mechanism to shield yourself from the heartbreak of failing your own impossible standards. Okay, so how do we fix this? let's talk about reframing your brilliant mind. First things first, you are not lazy, unmotivated, or broken. Let's just throw those labels right out the window. What you are is someone possessing an intense need for efficiency, maintaining incredibly high standards, and holding a clear vision of greatness. The very next time you find yourself reorganizing your entire desk instead of working on that big project, stop calling yourself lazy. Recognize that your brilliant mind is simply at work, trying to optimize its environment for the greatness it envisions.
If this explainer felt like looking into a mirror today, I really want you to remember this. You can turn your unique wiring into your absolute greatest strength. Here, we do not judge your procrastination. We just want to decode the real psychology behind it so you can actually understand why you do the things you do. Knowledge is power, and understanding your own cognitive process is the key to unlocking your full potential.
So, I'll leave you with this. Will you keep judging your procrastination, beating yourself up with society's outdated labels? Or will you finally use your unique wiring as your greatest strength? The choice is entirely yours, but I really hope you choose to embrace the beautifully complex mind you actually have.